recently. Brian Kelly will be the first coach of 2025 SEC Football Media Days. He has more victories during his college coaching career, which includes Grand Valley State, Central Michigan, Cincinnati, Notre Dame, and LSU, more victories than any other active head coach in college football. In his 3 years with the Tigers, Brian's won 29 games, including back-to-back 10-win seasons in 2022 and 2023, along with 17 victories in conference competition. Last year, his third with the Tigers guided LSU to a 9-4 mark with a 3-game winning streak to end the season and a bowl win over Baylor in the Texas Bowl. He's a native of Everett, Massachusetts, a 4-year letter winner at linebacker and 2-time team captain at Assumption College. Brian and his wife, Pocky, have 3 children. Pocky is here with one of their daughters, Grace. They also have a son, Patrick, and let me go back through this. 3 children, Patrick, Grace, and Kenzel. Grace is here with Pocky. The Kellys are active in community outreach and have established the Kelly Cares Foundation, which has donated nearly $8 million to support causes related to fighting against breast cancer since its founding in 2008. I learned backstage, Coach Kelly and Pocky checked off a bucket list item, hiking the south rim of the Grand Canyon just about a month ago. LSU head football coach Brian Kelly.
I'm not starting until that's over. Go Tigers. Love it. Well, welcome. It's an exciting part of this month because we're close to football season. And clearly, as a football coach, we love this part of the year. I think what stands out to me is that when I get this opportunity to talk to everybody, it's really about generating the continuous excitement from our fan base for LSU football. We have an incredibly passionate fan base. We've sold over 75,000 season tickets. We lead the country in season ticket sales. And so as we get close to the season, you know, you get these opportunities in front of the media, and I know you want to talk specifics. You want to talk about some of the hot topics that are confronting us. What confronts me is how we continue to generate the incredible support. And that means what are we about to do? And that is continue the vision of graduating champions at LSU. Every single day, that's what we talk about. I know you find that hard to believe in a sense, but that's what we talk about. We are still college. This is still about college. This is not the NFL. And that's a great thing for a guy like myself that started in Division II and has worked my way through 5 different programs. It's really about the student athlete and the relationships with student athletes and helping them get to that goal of graduating and helping them get to that goal of winning championships. And so we have a clear process in place for our guys. And that process is what I love to do. I come up here every year because I love the relationships with players. I love developing our players. I love the ability on a day-to-day basis to have a transformational relationship with them so when they leave our program, they're successful in the NFL, they're successful in life. And I know sometimes it's sound bites and, you know, quick observations, but that's my life work. I'm much more interested in the significance of what we're doing than just the success. And so I start my talk with you about certainly excited for our fan base and this season, but I'm more excited for our players and the opportunity that they're going to get to continue in this developmental process. So, you know, when you talk about how you get there, you need to look at where we started. And when we started in 2022, we didn't have a full roster. We needed to upgrade our guys' mindset as it relates to academics. And we've been able to do that with this first year in 2025, having a perfect GSR. And that, to me, are some of the underpinnings that I know you're more interested in talking about other things, but this is what excites me about LSU football. Our ability to graduate our players now and to move them on and see the success that they're having in the NFL because they're prepared. They're ready to handle what the NFL has to offer them. And so for me, that's success, right? That is its success because it's significant. We're talking about young men that are now able to get a degree and play for championships and move on to whatever their vocation is. Look, the expectations are always high, and we've got some outstanding players. You know, I think you start always with the quarterback and Garrett Nussmeier. I think when you look at Garrett, what he brings is a mindset of a coach's son. And that is, I'm always looking to improve. Every day he comes to workouts, every day he comes to practice, he's looking for areas to improve on. Now, I would tell you that experience is going to be his best teacher in the SEC. Having obviously played a year in the SEC and has seen what needs to happen on a consistent basis is most important, but he brings that individual trait that coaches love because he wants to be taught. He wants to be coached. He wants to be coached hard. He wants to be coached in a manner that gets him to be the best version of himself. And I love that about Garrett. You know, we've got Whit Weeks here today. You know, Whit is our driver. He brings the passion. But passion without focus is irresponsible, and he's not that. He's got incredible focus. He's got incredible passion, and it rubs off on our entire defense. And he wants to obviously outplay his brother West Weeks, who's a pretty darn good player as well. But now add Harold Perkins back to the mix, who was out with an ACL last year, a player that can make plays all over the field, and it gives us an incredible linebacker group. And Chris Hilton is with us today as well, and I want to say, you know, Chris had a very difficult injury last year, one that really didn't allow him to be the player he is. He runs 22 miles an hour. He's a guy that can go get the football. He can change games, and we didn't have him virtually the entire year. And that was frustrating to him, and it was difficult for him. But he fought through it. He had a great end of the season for us. And I love the way that he has now used his personality, which isn't one that if he gets up here, he's not going to say a lot, but he's respected by his teammates because of what he does every day and how he does it and how he handled injuries last year. Many of you know that we went into the transfer portal to really build depth, championship level depth across the board. You know, guys like Patrick Payton from Florida State, Baron Brown from Kentucky, Nick Anderson, Jack Pyburn, Bauer Sharp, just to name a few. Mansour Delan at the safety position and corner position. I could go on, and I've missed some of them, and I'll make sure that when I get to some of these other locations, I bring their names up as well, because so many of them are deserving to be talked about. But what I want to finish with, and more importantly, is that LSU offers the most incredible game day experience in college football. And we do pretty darn good in baseball. We do pretty good in gymnastics. We do really well in all of our other sports. But the game day experience at LSU is incredible. And it's because of our fans. They're so passionate and so knowledgeable. When you go into that stadium, they are watching the game. They are following every play And that, as a football coach, that's the captive audience that any speaker wants, that any teacher wants. It is such a captivating audience, and they are so passionate about LSU football that they've delivered for us. As you know, I had $1 million gift, my wife and I, to help support our NIL. That was a lead gift because I knew how passionate our fan base was. We had 1,600 supporters follow that up. That raised that number to about $3.5 million. That's the kind of passion that we have at LSU. It comes back to the one goal that I started with, and that is we want to graduate our players and play for championships. And whether it's on the field, in the classroom, in the community, it's developing great young men on a day-to-day basis. And that's the significance for me. And it's wrapped in that much more than just the success. So I know everybody's excited about the season. Everybody here is excited about it. And we're certainly looking forward to the opportunity because we open up with a great program in Clemson. I know Dabo very well. I respect him and his program and the accomplishments they've had. We've played against each other several times when I was at Notre Dame, and just have a ton of respect. But we've also been 0-3 in openers at LSU under my watch, and we needed to do some things differently this year, and that is embrace this opener. And embracing it in a manner that this is a big game. And it's a tangible goal for our football team to want to be 1-0. It's not let's warm it up into the season. We want to be ready for this football game. And so we're doing everything in our power to give our players the opportunity for that success. So exciting season. Excited about the ability to continue to develop our program and our players, and looking forward to our opener against Clemson University. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Coach Kelly. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Emma, Annie, or Nathan will get a microphone to you. Again, if you can stand, and please give your name and affiliation, that will help. Coach, we're going to go right over here to our right. Scott.
Hey, Brian, Scott Rabelais from the Baton Rouge.
I know you, Scott.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we
very formal.
Yeah, well, trying to look nice for the first.
You're doing a great job.
What you mentioned your donation and the other donors' donation to try to build the roster this year to get to a championship level. How sustainable is that long term, not only at LSU, but for other programs of similar resources who are trying to make these commitments?
I'm not going to do $1 million every year, no. No, I know that wasn't your question. I'm kidding. Look, I think it's the nature of where we are in college football. We have revenue sharing. We have NIL. Look, we're early on in the process here, right? This is kind of the first step towards what we're trying to put together. I'm excited about college football. I'm excited that we have something in place relative to revenue sharing. NIL is still something that we have to navigate through. So to answer your question succinctly, I think we still have to be thinking about how we continue to build our support for NIL, because it's not going away, and nor should it, as well as revenue sharing. I think we're in the first stages of where we need to be, but we have to still be moving in that direction.
Coach, we'll go straight down the center aisle.
Hey, Coach. Emily Grace McWhorter from the next round. Historically, LSU quarterbacks in the past have had a pretty significant jump from year 1 to year 2. What do you anticipate Garrett Nussmeier's being as he gets that experience like you mentioned in year 2?
That's a good question, Emily. I would say that when you're comparing him to Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow, that's a high bar for anybody, right? But Garrett is at LSU because he loves LSU, and he wants to lead our football team to a championship. And if the Heisman follows with that, I think he's good with that. But I answer the question this way is because all of our conversations with him aren't about individual goals. They're about how do I lead this football team to a championship? And all we've seen is him leading, him being selfless. And his selflessness is going to be the differentiator from last year to this year, as well as the experience that he had playing against really good SEC teams.
Coach, we're going to go over here to our left on the third row, on the far aisle.
Jonathan Williams with the On SI Network. You've had some really successful offenses during your time at LSU. I'm curious to hear what you want, some improvements you want from your defense this season, though.
Well, I think we've got an outstanding defensive coordinator and a defensive staff. Blake Baker is in my opinion, elite in the field of defensive coordinators. We needed to give him some more tools. And look, I've been the head football coach at LSU, and I know that we have not played the kind of defense necessary to win a national championship. I think we put a roster together in this offseason, along with young players that have taken lumps along the way as they've developed, and given Blake now the tools to play championship level defense. Because clearly, the 2023 offensive football team we had was good enough to win a national championship. We weren't good enough as a team, and a lot of that had to do with addressing some shortcomings we had on defense. We think we've done that. I love our roster. I love our team and the way they interact, the camaraderie of our group, the seriousness and focus, their intent. So I think we're going to have a defense that is going to be representative. And look, anytime you go on the road and play a team like Clemson, you better bring a defense with you.
Coach, will go right down in front of me in the second row. Tom.
Coach, really sorry about the bad advice on the elevator.
Listen, I'll tell you what, this is a massive undertaking from where I've been over the last couple of years. He's referring to, I got lost yesterday for about an hour in the Omni. I worked my way out of it, and I blamed you.
Just for a small part. Tom Murphy, Arkansas Democrat Gazette. LSU's traditionally played in-state schools. I wonder what you think the benefits and maybe any, bad points to doing in-state schools in football.
Well, when you're trying to balance a schedule, and I've been a proponent of playing the toughest schedule that we can relative to the SEC. There needs to be balance to your schedule as well, because you're looking at opportunities you want to give to your players. You want them to play for championships too. So you don't play 12 SEC schools. So now you're open with two opportunities. And in the state of Louisiana, we have such a passionate base. Why not play the schools from your own state and share in the revenue? Share around. If we're going to have to pay somebody to come in and play us, why not pay your in-state schools and take care of them? And we've got some great schools. We're going to play Louisiana Tech and Southeast Louisiana this year, and we're excited about those. So it's really about sharing with those that are in the state and balancing the schedule.
Coach, we'll go straight down that main aisle, just over to the right.
Coach, Mike Griffith, Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Hey, Mike.
Good to see you. I want to ask you, about, reflecting back on the SEC spring meetings, the narratives that the mood shifted in the room on the different playoff models. If you could share some insight as to why that shifted, one, and then two, another popular narrative is that the Big Ten wants to see the SEC increase their number of league games to get on board. Just kind of your thoughts on that, having coached in that region for several years as Notre Dame's winningest head coach.
Well, thank you for that last piece. That was very nice of you. The check is in the mail. Here's what I would say. Both of those work together. The two questions that you have, and this is what I mean, is that I think we would push for as many teams as possible if they were evaluated based upon what their schedule looks like. And so that's why both of those questions kind of dovetail together, in that if we're talking about win-loss record, they're not all the same based upon what conference you're in and who you play. So how many teams that are in this probably have a lot to do with how are we going to select them? What's the selection process going to be? And I think at the end of the day, that selection process will probably be having the end in mind first. And that will then generate the answers to the other questions in terms of how many teams and what's your conference schedule look like in terms of how many you play.
Coach, we'll go over to our right-hand side near the aisle.
Hi, Coach. I'm Olin Buchanan with TexAgs. My question for you is, everybody knows y'all had, I guess, 4 players from your offensive line drafted, including, I guess, Will was probably the 4th player overall. What kind of progress do you think y'all have made in rebuilding that line? And, can it be as good without Will and guys like Emory Jones?
Well, I don't think you replace a Will Campbell. Certainly, having 4 drafted, they were well regarded, and certainly Brad Davis has done a great job in coaching them. But if you're trying to address graduation in a knee-jerk reaction, right, and not having that planned in advance, you're probably going to take a hit on the offensive line this year. We have been grooming some players for their chance and their opportunity. You remember, I started Emory and Will as true freshmen in the SEC, and they held their own. We think we've gone a step further, that we don't have to start a true freshman this coming year, but guys that we've developed. And then, as you know, we went into the transfer portal, brought in Braylon Moore at center, Josh Thompson, some veteran guys from the Big Ten and the ACC who have been in the wars. So you're adding those 2 guys to the mix. DJ Chester started every game for us last year at center. He's a multiple player guy, can play guard or center. And then we've got some younger players that are going to step up that started in the bowl game, and we'll see how that plays. But I'm bullish on our offensive line. I think we're going to be able to produce the kind of things necessary to be a championship team.
We have time for a few more. We'll start over to our left front row.
Coach Dave Shoemade, SEC Unfiltered. It seems from like a 35,000-foot view, but there's been a little bit of a philosophical change a little bit over the past years from a positive perspective. You get the transfer portal class, hire some phenomenal coaches, some support staff members. Just feels like there's some good vibes around the program, just wholly. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship with Associate AD, GM, Austin Thomas, and how your day-to-day working relationship has been with him in the past year and a half since he's been back in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, I think Austin has done a terrific job in this kind of new order that we're in. Brings a lot of experience being at multiple schools in the SEC. His ability, he's extremely bright and innovative when it comes to, the revenue sharing plan that we had in place, and certainly NIL. But he also knows it's about surrounding himself with great people as well. And I've given him the opportunity to go out and do that. And we've hired some great people that will help in personnel, in recruiting. We've hired some great people in our player dev area that will keep the players. Retention's important as well. Retention is key. And then somebody that can also assist him with contracts and the day-to-day, because, he's involved in a lot. So I've got a great relationship. It's new for me, right? I've never had a general manager, but I thoroughly enjoy the relationship and really the ability for both of us to grow and learn as we go through this exciting new part of college football.
Okay, we have time for 2 more. We'll go straight ahead of me, about midway back.
Coach Philip Marshall, 247 Sports. You're one of the fortunate ones that has a veteran quarterback this year. Could you just talk about the difficulty of playing that position and growing into that position in this conference?
Yeah, I can't underestimate how important the development was, and I think you all saw it. Jaden Daniels' development for year 1 to year 2 was astronomical, if that word even suits it. I mean, it was incredible. Garrett Nussmeier will have a similar jump. It's because you go on the road and it's sold out. You play teams that are so well coached and so balanced and have great players that you have no choice but to learn, develop, and get better, or you're going to be left by the side. And so that's why I'm so confident that experience in this league at the quarterback position is the most important thing. Could you come in and play as a freshman? Absolutely. But there are going to be those moments where you look like a freshman. You look like a first-year player. Garrett will tell you that. And he wasn't a true freshman. He had seen it. He had been there. But being on the field in those situations when everything around you and your best is needed, you need experience. And that, to me, is why he's going to be very successful.
Coach, we'll take one final question to a section to our right, about 3/4 of the way back.
Hey, Brian, Ben Portnoy from Sports Business Journal. You talked a little bit about how we're sort of still in this new stage and new iteration of what college football, college sports look like. When it comes to just broader governance, whether it's the NCAA, College Sports Commission, whoever it is, I guess, what is it that you want to see from those in charge leading college sports, of whether it's structure, whether it's consistency in rulings? I guess, what do you want to see from the governance piece as a football coach?
Transparency and consistency. Those two words are probably the most important thing as we continue to move forward. Now, other things, we would like federal government involvement. Look, I got the Christmas list here. I could give you all those things. But if we start with transparency and we start with the clear communication that is necessary and consistency in approach, look, I know this might not be what you were asking, but it's got to start with coaches. It's got to start with us. I mean, we have to be the stewards of this. There has to be a moral high ground. There has to be ethics in this. And it starts with us. It starts with coaches. If I was at a speaking engagement a few weeks back, and every question about the NIL was trying to find a way around it. Trying to find a way to bring in revenue in some other force. Sooner or later, we've got to take the stand that transparency, consistency, ethics, and morality are at the core of this. If that's where we're at, we're going to be able to move to that next step and continue to make progress. Thank you very much.